Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ACTE-AZ podcast, CTE and the Real World. In this first episode, we will talk about workforce development, what it means, what it consists of, and what creates a healthy workforce development system. We will also discuss career exploration, career pathways, and how Arizona schools can prepare students for careers that match industry hiring needs. My name is Alec Damiano, and I am the Marketing and Event Technology Manager of ACTE-AZ. We are joined by Lindsay Duran, Jennifer Kaufman, and Erin McGehean. Can you all please introduce yourselves?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer Kaufman Fourness. I work for the Maricopa Community Colleges District, which is one of the largest community college districts in the nation. In my role, I work in the Office of Workforce Development, working on behalf of all 10 of our accredited colleges in partnership with other educational institutions, business and industry partners to make sure that we are preparing the workforce of today and the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Duran. I'm the Chandler Unified School District CTE Director, and we are the second largest district in the state of Arizona. And we service 6 high schools and 6 junior highs. And I'm excited to be here as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erin McGehean. I work for the Center for the Future of Arizona. I'm a project manager located in Maricopa County. CFA is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, and our mission is to bring Arizonans together to create a stronger and brighter future for our state. And we work very closely in career-connected pathways in our Arizona Pathways to Prosperity work.
It's great to have you all here. So first of all, what is workforce development? How is that related to CTE?
Thank you, Alec. I'll start with that one. In essence, workforce development is any kind of specialized education and training designed to prepare individuals for a specific occupation or industry. It requires that educators and business and industry partners work together to define the skills, knowledge, and abilities a person must have to be successful in a job, both current jobs and future jobs. CTE, which stands for Career and Technical Education, is the core component of workforce development. Once we, as educators, business and industry partners, define the skills, knowledge, and abilities needed for specific jobs, CTE programs are developed to prepare and educate people to fill those positions. And it's not just a position. CTE programs are built as pathways with multiple entrance and exit points that allow people to learn entry-level skills, then build on those skills or upskill, a word we like to use in the industry, to seek advancements or promotions through continued education.
Yeah, great points, Jennifer. I really believe that the workforce development relates perfectly with our CTE programs. We are the pathway that is going to be the first initial steps from the high school programs into whatever the students choose to go into further. And if we can align those while they're in high school, it's a great collaboration for us to just prepare them for what they are looking to go into in the future.
And another thing to add to that as well is with many of the CTE programs, there's a lot of industry recognized credentials that students graduate from high school with, so that gains them entry into those high wage, high demand careers.
Where does workforce development happen?
So workforce development happens in many different ways. It can happen in schools, it can happen in job training and work-based learning experiences. There's a variety of ways that students can gain exposure to various work experiences. It can start as early as a career exploration experience, as well as when we hear work-based learning experiences, there's a lot of different ways that students can gain that experience. It could be job shadowing, it could be someone from industry coming into the class to talk about the various career opportunities, as well as going into the gold standard of student internships and apprenticeships and really getting those hands-on experiences. So when we think about workforce development, we can reach down into those elementary school kids and start thinking about career exploration activities. So CFA's developed with our national partner, Jobs for the Future, a career exploration curriculum for middle grades. And that's really the sweet spot is 7th to 9th grade. So students really start thinking about themselves and how they see themselves in different career connected activities. And so now we're starting to look at developing curriculum for K-5 and reaching down into the elementary schools and really filling those pipelines. I recently heard Superintendent Roger Freeman from Littleton School District talk about our elementary school kids are feeding the pipelines to the high schools, and the high schools then are feeding the workforce pipelines as well. So really thinking about things as early as elementary school.
Erin's right on. We are seeing workforce development in many different areas. I can say in our high school programs, we're going to see, like in culinary, they are doing real world experience of catering, or in our broadcasting classes, they are doing live streaming and bringing what's actually happening using industry standard equipment into the classroom, but then providing the students the opportunity to actually do what you would find in workforce. Even running a student store for a marketing program, or at our medical professions, they're working at hospitals and getting their clinical hours in so that they're actually preparing for their CNA test. So we're seeing it happen everywhere. It definitely isn't just like, here's the lesson, we're going to teach it, and now you're going to do a project that looks similar to it. They're actually doing it. Their hands are in the works, providing opportunities for students and working with partners, going to companies and being an internship. We try to pair our students with their industry that is aligned to their program area. So we are always looking for workforce that is willing to take high school students to provide them that opportunity for an internship or a mentorship.
I'd like to add to that as well. Again, this is Jennifer, Maricopa Community Colleges. At the community college level, we do all of the things that Erin and Lindsay already described. We provide career exploration, we provide classroom, lab, work-based experiences. But another thing that the community colleges does that I think is unique is we're working already with industry professionals, those who are already working. So if a business describes a need to us and they need to upskill an entire cohort of existing employees, we can come in and upskill and develop customized training to meet their specific needs. We also have those adult workers coming right into our classrooms, choosing to upskill for themselves. So we are serving certainly a non-traditional age group at the community colleges, those that are already working professionals, as well as those coming right out of high school.
What occupations present the best opportunities for students?
Thank you, Alex. This is Jennifer. I'll start. There are so many opportunities and some elements that you need to consider. From an industry standpoint, across the state, the most in-demand sectors include healthcare, construction, information technology, including cybersecurity, manufacturing, including aerospace and artificial intelligence, finance, insurance, and other business services. In-demand occupations, so what makes that different is we're talking about specific jobs as opposed to industries, are really specific to the region that you live in. The job availability in Maricopa County is going to be very different than it is in, for example, Coconino County. It also depends on your education level. So, for example, in Maricopa County, one of the highest demand occupations in IT with a high school diploma only is as a customer service rep, averaging about $17 an hour. However, if you were to earn one of those short-term industry recognized credentials that Erin spoke about just a little bit earlier, you would be able to come out of those CTE programs, either at high school, CTED, or community college, with an average wage of about $25 working as a computer support specialist. There are so many online resources available to people to help explore the occupational interests that they have and the regional job demand. You can find these through your counselors and advisors at the high school, CTEDs, and community colleges. but also just kind of out in the world, out on the web. There's Pipeline Arizona, Arizona at Work, Arizona Commerce Authority, just to name a few. But it is really important that everybody go through the exploration phase, hopefully take advantage of some of the workplace experiences that we spoke about to figure out what's really of interest to them and what it really feels like in the real world, because sometimes it can be very different. Just reading about a specific occupation and then getting into that occupation. You want to be able to explore and have some experiences before you settle on a career pathway.
I think that's what's so beneficial about the CTE programs that students can go through in high school, because it does give them that insight, that on the job experience, and really kind of get a feel for what that career would look like and do that exploration. And if they figure out that, oh, you know what, I don't think healthcare is the way I want to go, but I do like the IT part of it in healthcare. And so maybe that's the direction I want to go. So it allows for that additional exploration. So they're not doing that, a junior in college that's already spent, however much it is now, it's, $60,000 or whatever, and having to start all over. So it's such a great opportunity that students have now to be able to do that exploration.
Erin, that is a great point. We're trying to prepare our students right now for jobs that don't even exist. So we're trying to give them the foundations that will really benefit them in the long run, that can be utilized in any industry. And focusing on those will help them really take that next step. And as you guys all know, like, the more we expose students to different things, the more they learn. So they may not even know that there's cybersecurity in every single program area. But the more we talk about it and the more we allow them to explore those different areas, it really does open their eyes to, hey, that might be a route that I might want to take. Or they're in a nursing program and they never realized that if they saw blood that they would pass out. So maybe going into being a nurse wasn't the right track that they should go into in college, but they have been provided that opportunity in high school so that when they make that next step, whether they go into college or community college or technical school or go right into the workforce, that they kind of have a little bit of an insight about themselves and prepared to make those decisions and not waste time or money in areas that they then realize, oh, that's not really a great fit for me.
What is involved in creating and implementing a workforce development strategy?
Earlier in the conversation, I mentioned that CTE programs are built when educators, business, and industry come together to define jobs. That ecosystem of education, business, and industry representative can be tens of people or hundreds of people. I'll share a recent example that will probably ring true for everyone. The global pandemic caused a major disruption in the overseas production of shipping of semiconductor-based chips. And those are used in almost every single modern day technology that we use every day. This computer that we're using to, do this podcast. This shortage is forcing the United States to identify places where more semiconductor manufacturing plants can be built domestically. With major players like Motorola and Intel already in Arizona, we're primed to compete in this industry. Organizations like the Arizona Commerce Authority jumped into the fold to start marketing Arizona as the primary place where the semiconductor industry can grow. And in 2020, we successfully landed TSMC, that's the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, who will need thousands of employees in the next couple of years. It's a little overwhelming trying to figure out how we're going to train all of those folks to work in this industry. One of the results was the development through the Advanced Manufacturing Institute that's housed here at the Maricopa Community Colleges. We convened a business and industry board with advisors representing more than 40 semiconductor manufacturers and their suppliers, along with a large contingency of educators. And we built the Semiconductor Quick Start program to fill these jobs. From June of last year until May of this year, Maricopa Community Colleges has run 56 sections of this 2-week semiconductor training program. And we've trained more than 500 individuals who are earning certifications in that field to be job ready. So in a nutshell, the workforce development partner strategy included, in this case, the federal government, state governments, many representatives from business and industry, internationally and locally, a large contingency of educators, K-12, CTEAZ, universities are all very much a part of this as well. If we are not working together on all levels of education to get students interested in these jobs, which Erin and Lindsay talked about a little more, and then getting into these careers and advancing in these careers, we'll be desperately behind the workforce need for these big employers like TSMC and Intel. So the whole workforce strategy involves this great big ecosystem and everybody playing a part. This isn't something that can be done in a silo.
Those are all great points. I was recently lucky enough to attend a Jobs for the Future Summer Institute, in which we got to hear different nationwide models on partnership strategies, workforce partnership strategies, and some of the best practices. And one of the reoccurring themes that kept coming up was putting the employer at the center. And I think Maricopa Community Colleges did just that with the Quick Start program and really putting the employer at the center of it and identifying what those needs are and how we can help fulfill those needs.
So as Jennifer and Erin mentioned, the economy is becoming increasingly skills-based. We're seeing more of a demand for manufacturing and things like that. Are you seeing more of a reliance on skills and credentials versus degrees?
Yes, we absolutely are. As I'm out and about talking to different workforce development offices and Maricopa community colleges and hearing from employers, they're really wanting to see the skills that potential employees can bring to the position versus what they've actually accomplished. So they're really looking at when students are writing out their resume, employers want to see what kind of skills they can bring to the positions that are open. So there's definitely more of a competency-based type of job search that's going on there. And then the other thing too, some of our work across the state and Yuma, I'd really like to highlight, we're working on a youth apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs in the healthcare industry. And so we've worked very closely with the CTEAZ, AWC, and Yuma Regional Medical Center to develop these youth apprenticeship pathways, so in healthcare. And we're currently aligning the competencies that students are getting in the classroom to the on-the-job training to ensure that they're meeting all the requirements for the youth apprenticeship. So that's another key piece to it too, is we're seeing this rise in apprenticeships and youth apprenticeships, as well as a means to gain entry into employment. I think another important thing to think about too is that entry point and how students can get their foot in the door with industry. And we touched on this earlier in the conversation, especially with the CTE programs that they're completing in high school. What a great opportunity for students to get into an entry-level position and start to see that wage progression as they get years of work under their belt. And at the same time, they can continue on with their associate degree or bachelor degrees and having the employer pay for that. So it's a win-win-win situation for the employer, the students, the schools, it all kind of working together. So I'm not seeing that a bachelor degree would be replaced by any means, but just as a way to gain entry into a field, these credentials are super important. And it can also help with reskilling as well. So in a lot of cases, there may be people out there with degrees already, and I want to get into the cybersecurity field. So they can go ahead and complete a certificate through one of our community colleges and gain entry into that field. So it's such a great way for people to continue to reskill, upskill, stackable credentials. We're hearing all these on-ramps and off-ramps and ways to continue on with their education and employment. So it's a continuum of learning as we go through our careers.
Erin, I would agree 100% with you. You're seeing the pendulums kind of move to the other side. For the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody was going to college no matter what. That's what we were focusing. And I'm not saying that we're not encouraging students to go to college, but we're being more purposeful. We're asking them, what do you want to do? And is it something that you can take a CTE program and earn that industry credential so that you can go and get a job that will help you pay for your college so that we're not having all this debt at the end of a 4-year degree? And if college is the path that you need to take to get to the career you want, that's perfect. Let's help you get there without a huge debt at the end of it. And so I think it's really opening our students' eyes of there's other options to help support me in getting there. And if I start early in high school and get that industry credential in high school, or go to a community college that continues that path from high school to community college and get an additional credential or an associate's degree before I then go on to get my bachelor's and my master's and go forth, but that we're being more purposeful and we're taking the jumping around out before they get to college, and hopefully that we're getting them on the right path. I know as we've been talking with workforce in our community, it's just they need workers. They need people to show up, and they're willing to train them, and they'll take them with their, definitely if they have an industry credential, puts them a leg up, but they're willing to train them and put them through college, like Erin said, so that then again, the students aren't creating more debt for them before they move on.
This is Jennifer again. I'll add something quickly to that. The landscape at the community colleges is certainly changing in that respect as well. Much like the semiconductor quick start program that I was just speaking of, we are developing so many more of those short-term boot camp, career-ready programs, as opposed to the traditional, what most of us maybe listening to this podcast went through, the traditional semester type program where you have to go 2 years or 4 years before you earn that degree. And then the idea would be to go on to a job. Like everyone else has mentioned on this podcast, we're really focusing on the skills and allowing people to get a job that will help them forward their career through the support of their employers. I think that's something that maybe isn't as well known as it should be. The amazing opportunities that so many employers do give to their employees. More and more, we're seeing employers move from reimbursement models even for education to paying up front. So the opportunities for career growth and educational growth is just better than ever.
Related to the workforce, we often hear about the value of professional skills like communication, teamwork, critical thinking, etc. What are the top professional skills you hear from employers? What is in demand in particular?
Thanks, Alec. This is Lindsay. I'll start off with this one. We hear a lot of times from our workforce partners that they need people to show up. They need them to show up, be collaborative, be professional, and really be a team player. And if they can do that, they will get them to whatever path they want to take. But if they show up, they will make sure they're trained and ready to work. A lot of times we hear that the workforce is people, they say, yes, we're coming to a job, and then they come for a few days and then they just kind of slip away and they never hear from them again. So they really are just, at least in my area, they are looking for people to show up and be ready to work.
Yeah, I think that's the common theme across the board we hear from employers. We want people to show up, be on time, have communication skills and teamwork skills. So it's all those things. And we know the schools are already training students with those skills that, communication and doing, resume writing and starting to do those mock interviews and things like that. So there's a lot of those opportunities that students are going through. But I think it's across the board. It's not even I think it's the adults as well that employers are having trouble with, just having people, come to the interview to begin with, and then, show up to the job after they're offered a position is the other struggle. So I think we're just hearing that across the board.
This is Jennifer. I can add just one more thing to that. It really is the same song every single time. So I won't repeat what Erin and Lindsay have already said, but I do want to mention that the instructors at the high school level, the CTEDs and the community colleges, many of them are already running their classrooms in this way, right? They expect people to show up on time. If they're in a trades program, they have to have their tools ready. Hygiene can sometimes be, something that we have to focus on for our younger students. I should take that back. It's not all just younger students, but there are a lot of these workplace expectations that are happening right in our classrooms, so that it's not a surprise to these students when they get to the workplace what those expectations are. So kudos to all of our instructors who run their classrooms in that way.
Jen, you reminded me of a great point. We actually have Arizona Professional Skills Standards that we teach in all of our CTE programs, and they were designed by business and industry and workforce development leaders to really discuss the needed workplace skills. And so it covers 11 different areas of everything from communication, thinking and innovation, self-direction, legal and ethical practices. There's so many different ones that it really helps our teachers focus on what they need to prepare our students for to really meet those professional skills.
What do you wish students and parents knew about career management? How early should career literacy be offered to students?
What I wish that students and parents knew about career management is that it should start as early as elementary school, and really starting to think about self and what my passions are, and that there are so many resources out there. It's almost overwhelming, I think, to a point, with all the different career exploration resources and summer camps and boot camps. And there's so many different things that are out there that students can try. I just wish that parents maybe knew more about those, or how to get more involved in those. I think there's just so much communication that goes out across the board between everyone that it's just so difficult to kind of decipher, where should I get my kid involved, and those different activities that are available. But really thinking about that career exploration as early as elementary school. So again, going back to that K-5 curriculum, we're going to start piloting it this fall, and we're really excited for that opportunity for students to start thinking about that. And then just how much career exploration is such a key lever in deciding what direction students want to go in. Honestly, there's just so many different opportunities for students. That's what I really wish parents were aware of, is how much they could get involved that way.
Erin, I would totally agree that the career literacy we need to see happening in younger levels. In fact, the Arizona Department of Ed again put together the K-8 career literacy standards. And so as we are embracing those in our schools, we're going to help provide students with scaffolded, age appropriate opportunities for them really to start making some decisions about their future, or just being exposed to the different careers and the options that the world might be available for them. It helps them develop those essential professional skills and expose them to the passion and interest as they relate to their career fields. I was in a meeting last week, and I happened to be paired with an elementary dean, and she was telling me of a story how they're trying to embrace their career literacy, and in their book studies with the kids they did in the morning to try to make sure that the kids would come on time to school, that they were doing like special book reads, and they're basing them all on careers. So when they come and they read a story about a fireman, or they come and read a story about a teacher, they're learning about that different career, and really not just learning the English part of it, but the career literacy part of it in a fun way. So just really giving some insight at a level lower than what we've been in the past so that they kind of are getting more exposure to different career options. So that way, the more they know, the more opportunities maybe they will start thinking about.
And Lindsay, you just made me think too, or you just reminded me that the possible futures curriculum that we're implementing is also aligned to the K-8 career literacy standards and was developed in partnership with Arizona Department of Education and ABAC. The other thing too, you reminded me about is also the My Future AZ platform, where students can start doing that career exploration and uploading some of their experiences as they go through grade levels. We've worked with ADE and ABAC to offer it to middle grade students as well. So it's such a great tool and opportunity for students to really get the career exploration, see the different careers that are out there and the Arizona workforce numbers.
I can add to that too. And again, it's really just restating what Lindsay and Erin have already shared, but maybe in the most simplistic terms. The way I think of it is, the conversations that we should be having with our young people today are not, do you want to be a doctor, lawyer, or teacher, right? Like, that's just so old school. And I'm not sure that everybody understands all of the many, many, many things that you can do and you can be in this day and age. Also, the idea that when you're in high school, thinking about what major you want to have at college or university, that's not the direction we should be going anymore. It really should be helping students through all these fabulous exploration and work-based experiences that we've already talked about, figure out who they are, what they like to do, what they're naturally good at. Most kids do have natural abilities in some places, and thinking about how they can build on that and how that matches with a career and then potentially a major. But what do you want to major in should not be part of the conversation any longer. One of the most exciting things that I've heard recently, as far as jobs that maybe we never would have thought of coming out of high school or college ourselves, is as a drone operator, using drones to, for example, fly over where natural disasters have happened and see where the most, where the priorities are as far as helping people and helping infrastructure. That's an exciting job and certainly didn't exist just a few years ago. So just one example.
How do we help students and parents learn about these opportunities that are available to them?
I would say, in order to help students and parents learn more about these opportunities, to start following our social media pages. All school districts have social media pages and websites. And on our websites and our social media, we share about these great opportunities. I would also encourage that those that are in the workforce in these high demand programs, that you reach out to your CTE director, and so that we can help pair you with a classroom of CTE teachers. We are always looking for guest speakers or companies willing to provide student internship opportunities, or even to help judge a competition. We have these career and technical student organizations, CTSOs, like DECA and FFA and FCCLA. There's a handful of them, and we are always trying to help students be prepared for competitions. And we're looking for judges that are willing to participate in them. Or even if you're willing to be an advisory member to help give us insight for our programs because you're from the workforce. We're looking for those opportunities. But it's a great way for not just workforce, but for the parents to learn about our programs. And then as they're the experts in those areas, they can make sure that our programs are in alignment with what industry is doing. And thus, if they have their own children that are now going to be students in our district, they're going to learn more about our programs because they're involved in it. And they can come to our open houses to see what's happening on our campuses, or call a school counselor or at the high school and ask for a tour of our programs. There's so many ways. There's so many great things that the parents and students can do to learn about it. And we're always love to share our story with them and always looking for ways to connect. So I would ask that, hey, give us a call, check us out on social media, follow us, take a tour, and we'd love to welcome you to our schools and welcome you to our programs.
So CFA, we're really excited. We're conducting a program over the summer. It's a student internship, and we'll see how this goes, but we're really excited for this project. And what it is we've selected 5 students to participate in it and develop a parent communication about the dual enrollment and CTE opportunities that are available at their school. So we're excited to see what comes of that project and what the students come up with as far as how to get the communication out to parents. So what better way than to have students design it for their own parents to see? They know what their parents pay attention to and don't pay attention to. So we'll see what the results are on that, and we're excited for that project.
That is so exciting, Erin. I'm so glad to hear about that. It's not anything new for us working in the industry to, acknowledge the fact that the parents really have a huge role in this. And if we offer open houses and orientations at our schools, it's often really difficult to get people there. Working parents have busy lives and it's hard to make time for something like this. So trying to figure out where they're at, Lindsay, social media, spot on. Erin through the kids to their parents. Those are fantastic examples because again, we know that the parents are important, but how we get to them, how we involve them, that's still a nut we haven't completely cracked. So these are fantastic ideas.
Do any of you have any additional insights you'd like to share about workforce development that you'd like our listeners to know?
I think one thing that we didn't really touch on is, and we started to touch on it towards the end, is the parents. So much of a student's career choice is based on their family and parent influence. And I think that that's a major piece that is so important in this conversation, is having the parents see all the different opportunities for students and being able to have their students experience a wide spectrum of career choice. I think back to the days when I was in high school and it was, either college or military. Those were my 2 choices. And my husband was a CTE kid, and his 2 choices were either skilled trades or college. And that's because his father was a carpenter. My father was in the military. So much of that influence is based on your family. And so I think just involving the families in this conversation is also so important to expose students to those variety of careers.
I would say that I would encourage parents to sit down with the students that once they've had the opportunity to take one of those interest career assessments, that they really look at what their students' interests came back at and have some candid conversations with them what that means. And if they ever need more guidance or help on what would be the best way, a path to get there, because it might be something like Erin said, that they came from an area that it was either college or military, if that's their world and they have the child that is in a different interest level than their own, they don't know what they don't know. So I would encourage that they sit down, look at those interest assessments, and then reach out to the school counselors and the CTE teachers to really help give them some great feedback and ways to look at different avenues for their child to be successful in the future.
I think maybe the last thing that I would add is just understanding the world of work today is so different than it used to be, and it really takes a village. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity here today that we could speak on the topic of workforce development and bring in representatives from college and high school and our community partners through CFA to have a really well-rounded conversation about what this means, and ask that everybody kind of jump in and do your part. Lindsay, you were speaking about having students speak to their parents about the results of their assessments. I encourage parents to take those assessments. It really opens your eyes, I think, once you see all of the opportunities that exist, and it helps parents understand how different the landscape is today from when they were choosing their careers. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of you very much for your time, and we'd like to thank everyone for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of CTE and the Real World.